See, Kauravas, 100 people, they are all having one group consciousness. Am I right? Yes or no? Is it not a great character? Huh? Kumbhakarna, even though he disagrees with Ravana, he fought for Ravana. That is group consciousness. He is my elder brother, I will have to listen to him. He disagrees with Ravana. He tries to teach Ravana, but when it comes to the war, he is the younger brother to Ravana, he fought for Ravana. That is group consciousness. Otherwise, you don't have the group consciousness. Then you will have to take one more path to develop your group consciousness. In enlightenment, there are two things. First of all, you must understand that you are not the physical body, you are an Atma, number 1 point. Then you must go into that group, the similar club, and serve the club, serve the group. That means you have to develop your group consciousness. Not an easy thing. It is possible only for enlightened people to go into group consciousness. And PSSM is a huge group consciousness. When my mother left, took her. She lived a life without any complaints, with only serving. Whenever you have a complaint, learn to shut your mouth. That's a PSSM member. Practicing the group consciousness of PSSM. कोई मामूली बात नहीं है, कठिन बात है.
Great evening and happy morning to all friends who are joining from the West. On behalf of Buddha Siva Quantum Foundation, I welcome each and every one of you. Today we are very, very fortunate to have Jagadish sir with us for today's master class. So the topic he's going to discuss is being conscious. So sir, can we do the meditation first, then move into the session? Let us first do the meditation.
Yes, we'll meditate first.
Yes, sir. So let us do the meditation first, and then we will go into the Saturday master class. Today is a special day, that is our master class day. So first, we will do the meditation. The meditation, what we are doing is breath mindfulness meditation. It is a simple meditation, yet it is very powerful. Sit comfortably. If you are wearing specs, please remove your specs. Close your eyes and clasp your fingers and place it on your lap. Cross your legs and absorb your normal, gentle breath and be in the emptiness as long as possible. Now let us go into the meditation.
Dear friends, dear masters, with your specs removed, eyes closed, with your hands on your chest area, resting your attention on your heart center. Connect with your beautiful heart. With your attention on your heart center, with a slow, long, relaxing breath, can you feel your beautiful heart. Feel the seed of all emotions, nurturing all life. With its energies of love, compassion, gratitude. Can you recollect an experience from your past or from the vision of your future where you feel enormous love, joy, gratitude? Or simply bring up an experience in the present, smelling a flower, playing in water, taking a walk in nature, helping somebody in need. Imagine and bring up that moment and feel that energy. Relive that moment and feel that energy. And allow yourself to spread that energy onto everything and everyone on this planet. Or to someone who is in need, to help them heal, to help them elevate themselves. Where your attention goes, there your energy flows. We're all deeply interconnected. And slowly, let's go into breath mindfulness meditation. With your fingers into fingers, hands comfortably rested in your lap. Observe your normal, natural in-breath and the out-breath. Observe your normal, natural in-breath and the out-breath. We are in a powerful group meditation, harnessing the energies of the group. When you observe your breath, your mind slowly becomes empty. As the mind is becoming less and less of thought, calmer and calmer, allow yourself to experience that greater calmness inside of you, emptiness all around you. yourself to merge into your breath and allow yourself to experience emptiness, that calmness. All emptiness is energy. This is the quantum field of energy. The field of limitless possibilities. The longer you stay connected to this emptiness, blackness of no body, of no thing, the more experiences you draw into your life. It is natural to have thought. When you recognize you are in thought, go back to observing your breath and allow yourself to slowly go into that emptiness, that field of light. We are less matter, more emptiness and energy. The longer we stay in the empty states of mind, the more you transcend your body. You go beyond matter. You experience emptiness and energy. Relax, dear friends. You planted seeds of possibilities. You primed your subconscious. Recognize that whatever you emotionally embrace is manifesting into your physicality. Be grateful for this opportunity to create. Be grateful for to everything and everyone who will help you to create this future. Your gratitude to your parents, teachers, mentors, family, friends, everyone in your life. To this grand nature, the bird, the fish, and the animals, to technology, all systems, governments, companies, to yourself, and to this intelligent quantum field for helping us experience, helping us create a new life. Gratitude moves us into coherence and helps us draw and create more. Recollect your experiences from the session. How did you feel? What have you experienced? Whenever you're ready, can you keep your hands on your eyes for 5 seconds and then you may open your eyes.
Hope you all enjoyed today's meditation, dear friends. Once again, I welcome all of you for today's session. We are very, very privileged to have Jagadish sir with us. A warm welcome to you, sir, for today's session. A brief introduction. Professor Jagadish is retired as a professor in IIM Bangalore, held senior positions in public and private sector organizations. He has also had the privilege of advising the Karnataka state government in its interventions. Currently, he is mentoring few new IIMs and other business schools and teach as visiting faculty on request. Professor Jagadish has been a meditator earlier, but with Buddha CEO Quantum Foundation, he has been attending the program regularly and has been dedicated to the cause ever since. Today's topic is being conscious. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The Sufi poet Omar Khayyam, in one of his rubayats, says, into this universe and not knowing why and whence, like a river willy-nilly flowing, and out of it, like wind along the ways, I know not whither, willy-nilly blowing. I hope you appreciate the weight of this couplet. For most of us, it is like that. We have come into this life, this finitude, the river of finitude, as I call it, and we go through it. We do our work, we perform our task, we try as best as possible to be responsible, both to the family and society and ourselves. Quite often uncomfortable, in a sense, not very sure of what the purpose, like Omar Khayyam said, the purpose that we are here. In other words, we seem to be physically conscious of what we are doing, but we have no idea why we are doing it or what we should do. But let's take it, sorry, let's look at it from another angle. We have, perhaps you have had an experience or you know about people. When they go through a surgery, they have given anesthetized. When you're anesthetized, what happens? Or you have seen people fainting for some reason, totally. You say the person is totally unconscious. The surgeon, before surgery, anesthetizes him, and the person totally unconscious. He have no idea about his physical being, has no experience, doesn't feel any experience of any kind. Only after the anesthesia is over, slowly, gradually, he comes to, or you come to, what we call one's senses. See, this is the fundamental idea of consciousness. That is not being unconscious. Being able to experience physicalness, being able to experience or understand, being aware of your environment, being also able to use the function. This is the basis of neuroscientists' idea of consciousness. In fact, neuroscientists actually look at it from the isms: physicalism, functionalism, as a panpsychism, and then mysticism. What do they mean by that? Physicalism is what we already saw. The person is physically totally unaware of what's happening. Connected to this is functionalism. You're conscious that you can function something, that you are doing something, that you are holding something, that you are talking, right? This is physicalism related to functionalism. But there is also what is called, they do not give up, they're not totally that mundane. They talk about panpsychism. Panpsychism is where they say you talk about being conscious something beyond you. Spiritualism, we'll talk about it later on when we talk about it. So this consciousness, something you talk beyond you. That's called panpsychism. But then there is something called mysticism. Mysticism is what they talk about, the hardcore problem. There, we still have no idea about consciousness, but it doesn't prevent neuroscientists, being scientists, doesn't prevent them to keep finding. So every time we find some idea of what consciousness is, but we keep on. Just to give a very glimpse, I don't want to go into bore you about that. There's Anil Seth, who is one of the most recent neuroscientists who done a lot of research. he in modern, especially very important in the days of artificial intelligence, etc., he actually infers that consciousness is nothing but a kind of a predictiveness. You already have some idea of something. Now, this looks like a stool because you already have an idea of this. Then you confirm it's a kind of Bayesian statistical concept, prediction. So this is how, that means still they're still trying to figure out, and that is the latest way of figuring out what consciousness and so on. Therefore, from a neuroscience point of view, you have matter, and matter has brain, and brain, brain, and then brain has got mind, and mind leads to consciousness. It is that flow. So there is matter, brain is matter, and the mind, brain talks of mind, and then you lead to consciousness, which is quite contrary to our philosophy or the Vedantic model of consciousness. That's just the revert. They say there's consciousness, then you come to mind, and then the brain, and then you talk about matter. What is interesting is these two totally contrasting methods, but both of them ultimately refer to what you're experiencing from different planes. I'm not very well read on this, but whatever little of Upanishads and the Vedantic and Sankhya philosophy that I have come across, all the time they talk about ultimately it's self-realization. Consciousness is being able to realize oneself in terms of, again, experience of what you are. But there is a wonderful part about this, our Indian or Vedantic part. These experiences, they are profound, which we have to address, but as a witness. You are not experiencing it, you're witnessing an experience. And that makes a big difference. So self-realization is essentially one of being able to witness the experiences around you. This, without even having to go to depth, you should understand, makes a very big difference, because now when you're away, you are able to handle things the way are. You can understand things only when you're away. You will be able to analyze, you got to understand, and so on and so forth. Western philosophy also talked about it, but a slightly different way. So Western philosophy, there is a traditional philosophy. They looked at consciousness from a purely panpsychism point of view. There is something out there called purely metaphysical form, and they try to structure it both in terms of a physical framework and both in terms of mathematical models and so on. But the subsequent philosophers called the existentialists, starting from Nietzsche. In fact, if you go back to Omar Khayyam's couplet that I spoke about, Nietzsche would coin it what is called a nihilism, not aware of what is happening. So, existentialists, part of Western philosophy, they said consciousness is just having the experience that you exist. There are different models for different existential philosophers talked about this. My idea is not that. The only reason I have started this kind of thing is not to take you into an esoteric. Otherwise, it will be pure academic. It will be of no value to us here and you. Because we live in a mundane world. We have to tackle our life. What is the point in my talking about such esoterism? But it's nice to know because there is knowledge out there. And one can go into greater depths if you are curious enough and maybe to better understand even our mundane world. So if you were to look at a very mundane world, let's go back to the fact that, okay, from a very physicality, a part of it, we saw it is being able to experience things around you. In a sense, consciousness, like Nathaniel Branden calls it awareness. Now, I must tell you something very briefly. Nathaniel Branden was a disciple of Ayn Rand, who talked only the whole life world is about objective, being objective. But later on, he quarreled with her. He went on and became, he's a psychologist, he was a psychologist, and he became subjectivism. That's where he talked about awareness. Why is this necessary? This awareness. He said, the way we have to live is to have control on our own life. If we have to have control on one's own life, you must have confidence in yourself and have a self-worth, sense of self-worth. Both together are called self-esteem. Unless you have a self-esteem, that means confident that I can do something, and self-worth that I'm worthy of living, these are the two measurable aspects of self-confidence, you will not be able to control your life. You'll not be able to handle your life. Today, if you look at the world with so much of stress, do you think all those people who earn several crores of rupees work day in and day out, morning till night, build houses, give high education to that, go on very expensive vacations, all this, do you think they're ever comfortable? That they have an idea of that they are the control the life? In fact, they're under the control of them. If they have loans, they have the first of all control of their employer. They have handed over their control to the banks, probably from whom they have taken loans for their cars and houses and so on and so forth. They are indebted to the schools and school teachers who have to educate the children. They are indebted to everything in society, because the most indebted society is to having a status. You have to status to be accepted, because we need to be accepted in India. So if you look at it, though they may have, from a very superficial view, may have a lot of wealth, have a great life, running businesses, they don't have control of themselves. They have transferred their control entirely others. Even though so big wigs, capitalists, etc., if they want a big investments, please note that they have to have political clout. Am I right? Political clout handing control to probably people half educated, whatever, it doesn't matter. So in that sense, to be really live a proper life, a life that we have to control, this awareness is required, which Brandon calls awareness, which is actually kind of consciousness. The awareness is a consciousness of, okay, what we are physically, what we need to do, and how we have to go about doing it. Okay. And where is this consciousness come about? It is within you. Remember, it is always within you. Michael Singer, in his book, The Untethered Soul, he gives a beautiful analogy. He says what happens is, he talks about a particular person, and that applies to, in general, I'll generalize it. Now you go there, you are confined, you want to say, you go out, and you see a beautiful field, lovely gardens there, a lovely field, beautiful sun shining out there, nice wind, and so you want to live there. That is where you feel fine. That's where your life want to be. That is the kind of consciousness you have. So in order to live there, what you do? You start buying a piece of land there. You have to stay there. First thing you do is you build a house with walls. And the walls have to be strong to withstand any other kind of, it can't topple, right? It has to be strong. You build thick walls. Now, once you go into that, you have to start preventing the wind from the outside, the leaves and the dirt, etc., coming inside. You build doors. You put a roof over that head. You still love the outside, but slowly and gradually, what are you doing? You're building a wall around you. You are starting confining yourself. Naturally, being inside, you would like to read books. You have to have lights, so you put on artificial lights. You came here because to enjoy the beautiful sunlight out there, but then you sit inside with artificial lights. It becomes hot. There's a beautiful fit. You wanted to enjoy this breeze, but what do? You put in air conditioners. You understand? Goes on and on and on. I don't want to go to the whole story. So what are you doing? Ultimately, you're confining yourself. You're losing awareness of what you're doing for. You're losing consciousness. You're no more someday suddenly you realize, hey, what am I doing? Consciousness is emerging out there. What am I doing? And what do? You see strong walls, strong doors, and you get frustrated. Oh my God, what have I trapped myself into? The only way is to break the walls. Would you like to break the walls that you've spent so much time and energy and build and designing? You wouldn't like to. You have trapped yourself, right? There is a uh, in the Bhagavatam Purana, there's a beautiful story about Puranjana. In fact, the whole Bhagavatam itself is called a Gupta Gyan because it's all of metaphors. Within that, this story of Puranjana is called the Gupta story because it's a metaphor of metaphors. And the story itself about Puranjana is about 3 chapters runs. I won't go into all those details because very interesting. All right. So who is this Puranjana? He is a person. I use the word person for want of any other word, who has a very constant companion called Avijnat. Now, this person goes on, he wants to settle down somewhere. He goes to some place in some town. For some time, is not comfortable. He moves into a better place, and so on until he comes to find a place. We find a beautiful palace. And a lovely princess beckoning him into the palace. So go ahead, marries her, and gets into the palace, becomes the king of the palace. It's a very detailed explanation, but just to make sure I tell you, you know what that palace is actually? Your body. So this person, actually the soul, goes on looking for different kinds of lives, ultimately finds a beautiful body and settles inside. Because this palace it talks about has got 7 gates, some or both exit and inlet, some only exit, some only inlet, so on and so forth. And he goes on, he forgets everything else. And then he goes enjoying life with this princess. But then there are things, you know how age happens. Then he loses princess, the princess gets bored, gets bored of her. Then the neighbor kingdom suddenly look at his weakness come. That is called the, you know, you talk about this is called the fever that comes in. Okay. The fire that comes, that is fever because the fire comes. All these are different kingdoms that come around and ultimately come out and he gets completely, the palace is destroyed and he is thrown out of the palace. Then he opens his eyes and realizes what this is all about. And then he looks at that friend Avigyata is there. He says, Avigyata, where were you? He says, I was always there with you. But did you know? You forgot me in your thing. And who is Avigyata? Consciousness. So with this soul, with or without what body, Avignata or conscious is always there as a companion. But in our mundane world, in our world, day-to-day world, we ignore, we forget that you have this friend to whom we can anytime approach. Anytime you can seek his help. Anytime you can confess to the person. We don't. We are so much lost in this material world that we forget it. You must have heard of Anita Moorjani. I don't know if you have heard of that. If you can get her book, please do read. See, Anita Murjani was a lady in actually originally from Bombay, but later on she was in Hong Kong. They have a business. If I'm not mistaken, it is her father-in-law's business called the Milton Church, and that's from Hong Kong. Now, very wealthy family, very happy with her wedding, marriage, etc., etc. Suddenly, she found she developed cancer. And then she goes through, comes back to India, then found that it becomes worse and goes back. And ultimately, the cancer is so bad, it takes all over her entire body. And from a technical point of view, she actually dies. How? When she's covered the sheet, her father-in-law comes over there. She also, her mother comes from Mumbai. And then she says she heard them. Technically, a doctor had declared her dead. But she says they heard the father-in-law talking about preparation for a cremation. Somewhere along the line, it occurred to her, no, I have to tell the world what this is all about. I have a purpose. I had a purpose in life, and that to tell people what this is about. And then what she does, she comes out gradually. Suddenly, she opens her eyes. They're all surprised. And slowly, within 7 days, she recovers. Within another few months, she's completely cured of cancer. She has her own website. So she got into spiritual life and keeps talking about it. She got into other people with near-death experience, sharing, etc. And this is the book that she read. The title of the book is Dying to Be Me is the next book. Now, what she says is very interesting. She says what people have to learn is this. She says when she was there and she thought she was dead, she understood what consciousness really was. And the analogy gives is very simple for anyone to understand. She says you go into a warehouse, a large warehouse, any warehouse you can go. People, if not some storeroom, you go. You want something, and if you use it's always dark. You use a flashlight. What do? You focus the flashlight only on the small part of the keyword, and this is all that you see. There's few items that are there. But when she saw that, this is what she did. But the moment she went and switched on the light of the warehouse, what did you see? The warehouse is really huge. And there are not many things behind your compression. She said that is true consciousness. In our everyday life, we focus on the very minimal part of it. We only know that this all exists. But you switch on that light, the fuse of your mind, you see a much larger warehouse, which has many other things you had done. And that is where a lot of possibilities are. You can go and pick it up. It's a very beautiful analogy. But she said this is what she felt. And she explains it this way. So if you want to really look at it, even from a mundane point of view, that probably is true consciousness. And what we are conscious about all the time is a very minuscule part of what we can really be conscious about. Okay. So that lead me to the really interesting this. So I'm we're moving towards, if you want to use the word spiritual science, right? Some kind of spirituality. You're becoming more aware of something outside your body, outside with the universe, so on and so forth. Personally, another thing that I found out, I began reading books on astrophysics. Now, for a different reason. How do you really this, Yuvraj? How did this then what are the parameters of the universe and so on and so forth? It's a very different story. But even as I went on reading, then I found you start talking about the vastness of the cosmos. Can we relate our consciousness to that vastness of the cosmos? In fact, our universe is defined by certain 5 parameters, and there are certain values to that parameter. Change the value of any of the parameters even slightly, you have a different universe. So astrophysicists have started talking about universe, they talk about multiverse. Now you can imagine, if you really want to be very, talk about consciousness, where you can, there's no limit to that. So what do? Knowing that our consciousness is very limited, why don't we on an everyday day keep this in mind and try to stretch our consciousness as much as possible? And I told you, if you come to all the Upanishads saying, all these consciousness, the experience that you have is not as being part of that experience, but as an observer, as a witness to that. Only when you are observing, you can look at something in wholeness. To give you a very, very, very mundane and slightly disconnected, digressive example, you see, when a nanny or an ayah, call it, or a mother herself, takes a child to the park, they don't tie the child because the child may get out of the park they may be going to Main Street, right? May go get in the car or got into some mischief. Some children are playing swing and they may go under the swing and get hurt. So what do? Either the mother or ayah, let the children, they don't tie them up. Let the children go. And even as they are sitting down on a bench reading a book, keep an eye on that. They draw a boundary around, conceptual boundary around where the child. The moment they notice the child crossing the boundary, what do they do? They go and grab and bring the back child. Can we do that? If only if you're an observer of your experiences, can we do that with ourselves? We should keep a boundary as large as possible. Freedom, that is called free will. But there has to be some kind of a conceptual boundary which is determined by the purpose of our life. It's a very different. Last time, Saturday, I talked about systems, applications of systems theory. Those of you who remember, those who were there, I said, cannot have a system without a purpose. And we as living systems are born with a purpose. So, keeping that in mind, if we can expand our consciousness to that and keep an eye of where we are wandering, the moment we are turning away beyond the boundary, we come back and bring it back our thoughts. That would be my idea of consciousness. So, why do we talk about this on a personal basis? This is where meditation comes in. If you understand meditation, not meditation as a ritual, every time you just sit with your clasping your eyes, sit down quiet. Oh, I have done my meditation. I'm sorry to say, most of the time, probably including me, we have converted meditation into a ritual. We feel bad if you have not sat for the meditation where I'm supposed to do from 6 to 7, a 1 hour meditation. I have not done, I feel very bad. Because we have converted ritual. Like do, bhajans, or we do aarti. In the evening, if I don't light the lamp and do aarti, I feel bad. That's how we can. So I don't mean meditation in the sense that if meditation, when we go, what are we doing? There are different ways of doing it. The way we quieten our mind, in fact, Jiddu Krishnamurti is very much against the use of meditation. He is against the very concept of meditation. But he talks a lot about silencing the mind. And he says, people do not want to be conscious. Because the moment they try to be conscious, they're conscious as a Hindu, a Christian, a Muslim, an Indian, a Britisher, a human being, and so on and so forth. That is the problem. But you say, true consciousness is where you completely deplete yourself with any identity of any kind. Like Michael Singer said in that, we built a wall around. You should not have any wall of that kind. That, according to Jiddu Krishnamurti, if you can do that, then you are purely conscious. And you can experience whatever it is with absolutely no bias. No, we cannot, as human beings, we cannot do that. But should it prevent us from thinking about it? Trying to be as far as possible to that? Do we have the world to be the way we want to be? Can we say, let the world be as it is? So, while we may not be as profound as Jiddu Krishnamurti are being able to completely bereft of any kind of identity, we can try, right? As long as we keep remembering, when you meditate, probably that's what you should do. As we go into the quietness of it, we go through self-realization, we say, look, this is what it is. And this is what I would like to be. And so even in my awake and normal meditation, let me remember, let me not be tied down to an identity of mine. The whole universe is one. And that, to my mind, is consciousness. I can go on talking more about it, it becomes too esoteric. I would like to stop there. If you have any questions, I'm pleased to answer them. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Yes, I'm done.
Dear friends, you can ask questions or doubts if you've got anything to say.
I hope you are conscious of what I was saying. Okay.
So,
The-
yes, sir.
no, if there are no questions, we can wind it up. There's just one. So, as usual, I'd like to close this with a bit. There are profound, very mystic poets who speak about all this kinds of things which awaken your mind, and therefore, I'd like to add a small piece by William Blake. In his Songs of Innocence, he says, to see the world in a grain of sand and heaven in a flower, to hold infinity in the palm of your hands and see eternity in an hour. That's kind of divinity the way you're talking about. That is consciousness to my mind. I think there are two hands that are raised. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, Amit Kumarji, you can unmute and speak.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I think it was a great narration what you have done. I've got quick questions,
you.
two questions basically.
Yes, sir.
Now, when we say consciousness, now there are
Hmm.
two kind of consciousness: body consciousness, soul consciousness. So we, the moment how to bring back this consciousness when it goes missing, how to bring this BBC. Many times we realize it that when we do the meditation, our battery gets charged and it run for 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, and after 8 hours again with the external world disturbance, many things happens around us, family, environment, office, then on the roads. All of a sudden that consciousness start depleting, or there is no energy to handle that situation. So when that happens, how to bring back consciousness?
Okay, there are two things. First thing, you spoke about two types of consciousness: physical consciousness and soul consciousness. Actually, they don't exist separately. That is why I introduced, there is, yes, from a neuroscientist, they call it physicalism. Physicalism is where referred to consciousness as a physical activity, which includes all your functionalism. They talk about use it. They use all isms, neuroscientists. So there is physicalism. You do physical life, so you are conscious of it. And there you are functionalism. Okay. Now
Okay.
that is your what you talk about. And that's where I said the other one is physicalism, is when you're anesthetized, you're completely lost, you're not conscious at all, you're not aware of anything at all. That is another kind of thing. But now, that is the very mundane scientific point of view which tries to rationalize something from a very limited mind perspective. And you separated soul consciousness as something different. Now, what are you? You're not the body. That's why I brought the story of Puranjana. He is trapped in that body, the beautiful palace. He thinks it's a palace Vijayam, which is actually his body. Whereas true consciousness of his was like a friend all the time. Avijnata was his friend. And only when he dies, and you see him had a very big problematic life, then he asks, so where were you? He's asking Avijnata. He is the one who left him off. So what happens if you are giving up, right? So
Right.
I don't separate body, and because we are, in a sense, I don't know. I'm not so much a philosopher to talk about soul. I cannot understand what the soul is. There is a very big explanation what soul is and what this. The soul is the same as consciousness? Maybe. I don't know. But the point I'm trying to say is by trying to discriminate like this, we are trapped into word. It's okay, semanticism is called. And invariably, unfortunately, we have no other way. Like Tennyson said, okay, what am I but a child crying in the night, crying for a light with no language but a cry, because the child has not cry. Similarly, our cry is the language, the words that we use. The words actually do they have meaning? Even when you talk about consciousness, we talk about a word and we tried all kinds of things to explain that, but the only feeling can. You have to experience that. Right? So
Right.
try as far as possible not to divide this soul consciousness or physical consciousness. If you understand your feeling of what consciousness is an experience as an observer, as a person who has now taken birth as a living being now, for whatever purpose, for whatever length of time. Now, why instead of saying like Omar Khayyam, and why not knowing, try to find out why it doesn't matter. That's what you think. And go, that's what I can say. Okay. Beyond that,
Okay.
probably you'll have to meet a sadhu who knows much more about it. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
I hope you answered your question. Yes. Yes, there was, I think,
Yes.
Just,
Yes,
just,
good evening,
yes,
sir.
Justin ma'am.
Just be here.
oh, it's very
Justin
nice
ma'am
to
is
have.
there.
So it was so nice to hear you, sir. I just
Oh,
missed the name of that story which you were telling now about that body as a palace, because I don't
oh
think this will be recorded. So like,
that is Puranjana. That's in the Bhagavatam story called Puranjana, his name.
okay, okay,
The story of Puranjana, it runs into 3 chapters, 3 long
okay,
chapters. And
okay,
it's very
okay.
interesting to see that everything that we do is
Hanji.
described there as what the body does.
Okay, so because nowadays I'm doing a lot of research and all stories from our
Okay.
different scriptures. So, and this William Blake poem which you used just now, na,
Prob-
you're talking about a
Yes,
grain in
yes,
a
yes,
hand,
yes.
to see a world in a grain of sand and a
Correct.
heaven in a wildflower. So I remember you used this uh, from
For a child,
parenting. Yeah,
no, for a
child.
child, about a
Yes,
child and to
yes.
grow. Yes,
So
yes.
I,
Schooling
I
also.
have been using them quite regularly while
Okay.
taking sessions with parents now, what the child's world should be and what do we do to it. So
Yes.
everything gets really connected the way you explained it, like the garden may, how we keep the boundary and all. So it was really, really nice. I'll enjoyed that story, so I'm going to go and read more
Yeah.
on that. So, yes, sir, it was lovely hearing you. And I hope I see you in the morning.
Yep.
Tomorrow, I'll.
I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah, yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you
No,
so much.
having said about the child, I like to add also. I think you heard this my saying so. Unfortunately, this child, which is in
Ah,
that sense, in its innocence, conscious
mm,
of the world. It has not limitations. But what does
yes.
education do? And he says, this green,
Barefoot boy.
yes, it's green, Whittier green, he says, and
Yeah,
all too soon, these
yes.
feet must hide in the prison cells of pride,
Right, right,
social
right.
pride.
Yes. So, as
Huh?
teachers, it really makes us think, that are
Correct.
we really doing good to them or what are we doing really?
Absolutely.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, there's another hand there.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Unmute Viji madam, and you can ask.
Yeah. So it was a
It will be
very
nice, if you don't
interesting.
mind, if it will be nice if you can open it because I know who I'm talking to. Otherwise, I'm talking to them. If you
Oh,
don't mind,
it's
that's all.
Vijay from Coimbatore. Vijay
Oh,
Narendra.
okay, okay. Okay, Vijay, okay, right, okay. I know you very well, so I don't have to say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to know, you said that we have to be a witness to the consciousness,
Witness
right?
to the experience, witness of experience.
Experience. So,
Yes.
but at the same time, there is a consciousness in us.
Hmm.
So how do I sort of, I remain a witness as well as I experience something? I'm finding it a little contradicting to the.
No,
Of course,
no, I didn't say separately. Experiences and consciousness are different. I said consciousness, both from Western philosophy as well our philosophy, and then for neuroscientists also, is experiencing something, right?
so
Because
that
of
is
consciousness, they can
awareness, like
you
what?
experience it. Yeah. But now what I said was, instead of getting involved as an experience, because you can understand something only when you're away. You need a meta language, right?
Hmm.
If you are part of that, you can understand. So to be conscious of your experience, that is, experience consciousness is understanding experience, is to be away from it, to be a witness.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
most of our philosophy also, it says be a witness and watch.
In fact, the Upanishads talks a lot
Yeah.
about this.
Even in Bhagavad Gita, it says like be a witness and
Exactly.
watch what is happening. So
Exactly.
suppose I'm experiencing something and also I'm a witness.
You
So
should
that
witness. No, you are experiencing something, and sometimes they will be sad, or even if it is joy. Unfortunately, we fall for the trap of accepting the sadness, and that sadness remains in the mind, and that that is why we say no. Sadness is only for the moment or for that particular experience. That's an emotion, sadness. So just look at it. Don't draw
be a
into
part
yourself.
of.
Yes. If once you draw it, it's a negative energy, right?
Okay.
So it's negative energy results in all kinds of ill health. That's what it means. That's what it means by experience always something outside. In fact, most of Indian philosophy is all about this only. Whether it's Bhagavad Gita or Sankhya philosophy, they talk always about
being a
witnessing.
witness to the.
Yes, witnessing, not that's a small wisdom, and unfortunately, we know what we are. You may something, particularly with a child is hurt. We get so emotional. See, but the point is, instead of
No, that
getting
becomes a part of responsibility also.
that you said it right. How does this? Why do you want to help the child? Because you love the child, right? That's a responsibility. You should not take the sadness on. You feel emotional, but you go and find out a solution. So when you experience something that is not correct, find a solution.
Okay.
And that comes from love. This is not true only for child. I don't know whether I remember it in one of my messages. The group all said love is the most important thing among all family members, and true of all the human beings. So when you love unconditionally, what do you find solutions for it? Like for a child is hurt and child is crying, you just don't say, "Oh, so sad, I will also cry with you." Try to find a solution to, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what we should, and for the whole humanity and yourself, starting with yourself, find a solution. It don't feel sad about it. That's all.
So
Okay.
thank you, and it was very interesting, especially the story of that Puranjana. And
Oh yes, Puranjana. In fact, one day I'm going to. I spoke to one of my. There is one very enlightened person, right? But I'm not so much of a mutt people. I don't want to belong to all those things. That's why I don't go there. But I have told him once I'll write an English summary version of Puranjana story and show it to you, please, so that I can circulate it. But I've been too lazy to do that because every time I sit on it, I find it very profound to explain that.
And each time, probably you are finding new meaning and new experience.
Yes,
that is
that's
so it's really nice talking to you on this. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So somebody asked the name of the book and the
Which book?
lady's name, sir. That Anita Morsan
Oh,
is
dying to be me. Anita Murjani. Just a minute. I will show that copy of the book. 1 second.
yes.
I'll keep it against the camera. Can you see that?
Yes, sir. Dying to be me.
Yes, Anita Murjani. See, if you, it's not a very big book, right? You can read it in 1 day.
Yeah.
It's a small book.
Yes.
It's an amazing
Acha,
experience.
Morsan.
In fact, it's Miss Patriji spoke about it once in one of her question and answer sessions. That's why whenever Patriji said something, I immediately picked up the book and read it. And some books he himself presented them to me.
Okay, masters, really we had a treat to our intellect. That's what I can say. So thank you so much for taking the time and sharing
Thank you.
your knowledge with us, sir. And it's a really very deep subject, that is consciousness. But you have broken it into step by step into small pieces and given it to us along with an analogy and also a story. Everything you have given it so that we can understand it very easily. Even when I read the topic, being conscious means, I understood it this way. That is, this topic means awake, alert, aware of oneself and one's own surroundings rather than state of in a sleeping state. But today, whatever I guessed it, this was the meaning of this topic. But today I am taking the exact meaning of the topic, that as consciousness is able to realize oneself, that self-realization means that is you are witnessing your experience than you getting involved or absorbed in that experience, which we are actually doing it in our life. And second is the awareness is needed. Why that awareness is necessary? Because we should have a control on our life. So to have a control on our life, we need the awareness. So beautifully you said. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. But please don't take it as an intellectual. Intellectual.
Really, it
Thank
is so
you, sir.
sad for me. Yeah.
Thank
The
you very
same.
much. Thank you for
Thank
the
you.
opportunity. Thank you for Buddha CEO and thanks for Rafi. Are you in Bangalore back anytime?
Yes, sir.
I
Yes,
think
sir. I'm in Bangalore. I'm
you're
Bangalore.
back in Bangalore. You're
Yes,
supposed
sir.
to meet us when you're in Bangalore.
Yes, sir. Definitely you'll
Sometime
meet, sir.
we will talk a lot more about this. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Definitely. I'll make a visit, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. Equally, thank you to all participants who have taken time and joined with us today. Thank you so much. And thank you, Ladini, for being with us. We will again meet on next Saturday at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. 'Cause I'm so grateful. So grateful. Oh, grateful. I'm so grateful. So I want to say thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank
Madam, can I end the session?
Yes,
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 please.
Ladini. You can end.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much, sir.
Thank you, Ladini.